The Deputy Prime Minister is the Member of Parliament for St. James Northwestern. Let's make him welcome.
My colleagues, today I rise with gratitude and a deep sense of service for the 9th time in the sectoral debate. I'm speaking on the mission today of the Ministry of National Security. Madam Speaker, peace has been introduced to the portfolio set of the Ministry of National Security and Peace, and this is due to the success of the agencies of the Ministry of National Security, but in particular the Jamaica Constable Force, for the major and dramatic reduction in criminal violence throughout the country. Each year in this House, I am reminded of the strength of the Jamaican people, even in the face of major challenges. The strength inspires me to give me hope and compels me to continue to work with purpose and resolve. In the minds our duty must always be anchored in service to the people, guided not by party colors, but by our shared responsibility to every Jamaican. We bear a solemn charge to act with courage, integrity, and purpose as we shape the future of our nation. The recent passage of Hurricane Melissa tested many of our communities. Homes were damaged, lives were disrupted, but the Jamaican people did not break. Our recovery continues. We remain committed to ensuring that no community is left behind. I want to commend the men and women of the Jamaica Constable Force, Jamaica Defense Force, the Fire Brigade, and the wide members of the public service. They are not only guardians of public safety, they are the steady hand that our nation depends on in this most difficult time. And in particular of this hurricane, many of them are out there, even their families themselves were under severe pressure. Their sacrifice speaks not just to duty, but to the deep and enduring commitment to the country. I want to acknowledge, of course, Madam Speaker, the leadership of the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, who steady guiders continue to provide direction and confidence during times of great challenge and uncertainty. Madam Speaker, it is a fact that this Prime Minister has faced some of the most challenging times in the history of our country. We have had, we start with the economic issues, which was started in the previous government, but the fiscal challenges were faced, and it's one of the successes of the country at this point in time. COVID-19 pandemic, a 100-year pandemic that hit the world, but hit the country for the first time in 100 years. Well, it's a 100-year pandemic, major challenge to the entire country, damaging the very fabric of our society. Of course, we have had severe weather conditions, very last year, Melissa, and of course, in maintaining our democratic standards, we have had 2 general elections and a parish council election. And of course, we inherited a wave, an chronic epidemic of severe criminal activity, and we have had to deal with all of them. It is only, I have to commend our Prime Minister for his leadership. As we continue, Madam Speaker, I have noted my colleagues across there said, one of my good friends from South Manchester spoke of divine intervention. I don't think he understood that it was already decided. He got the wrong intervention. Somewhere in Spanish Town was a young man who independed to occupy the seat of authority as Prime Minister. That was a divine intervention. One period. It is remarkable that we have one Prime Minister through this remarkable stage in our history, with all the crises we have had. I want to thank my colleagues in the Cabinet for their continued partnership and collaboration, and extend special appreciation to my Minister of State, Hon. Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn. An Olympian who has run the race for the Jamaica on the world stage and continue that journey in service to our country. Thank you. I want to thank her. She brings that spirit of determination to the ministry, carrying out her responsibilities with quiet strength, unwavering commitment, and a deep sense of national duty. I want to recognize a dedicated team within the ministry, led by Permanent Secretary Ambassador Alistair Stonewolf, including technical and administrative staff, they work tirelessly to deliver on our mandate. It is indeed a privilege to work alongside our national security departments and agencies, which include the Jamaica Conservative Force already referred to, led by our Commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency that has quietly invaded that area and is having some significant success both in the public and private sector in dealing with corruption. The Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency, a quiet agency, tend to be below the radar, but a very important part of our border security and doing an excellent job both in security and allowing our visitor experience to be improved. We are working hard at taking it to another level. The Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine, which will be approved later again, one of the finest in this region. The Firearm Licensing Authority, the Department of Correctional Services, yes. The police, and my minister has particular responsibility for it, although she's the lady. The Police Civil and Oversight Authority, and the Private Security Regulatory Authority. I commend their leadership and staff for their unwavering commitment to building a safer Jamaica. I want to express my deepest gratitude to my wife and children for their continued support. I want to thank my medical team for the exceptional care and attention, and the members of the public for their prayers, well wishes during my recent medical events. But I want to express my gratitude to my colleagues in the Honorable House on both sides. Your encouragement, your understanding never wavered. And even in my absence, I got the messages where I couldn't answer the telephone directly. My daughter did all of that for me. She was a champion in that time. I didn't have the opportunity to speak with each of you individually, but your goodwill and your prayers and expression of getting well better was deeply felt and sincerely appreciated on both sides of the house. I thank you both. I want to thank the people of my constituency for their trust and confidence. Their support continue to guide my service. I have to recognize, should I recognize the audience, but I have at a later stage the diplomats who are here and other members of the Ministry of Staff who joined me. And of course, I should also add a recognition on this very manly, and it's Anderson Manley Duncan, who is here more for the House leader on that side, the opposition leader. But we recognize her as one of our outstanding public servants of our time. Could not have her here and don't recognize you, Bev. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister has outlined a clear vision for Jamaica's future, grounded in resilience through unity and progress. That's part of what I have to do one time. Today I rise to build on that vision. I will outline how we are strengthening peace, enhancing safety, and driving transformation across our communities. Prior to the year of Andrew Holness-led administration took office in 2016, Jamaica was on an upward trajectory of escalating gang activity and violent crime. These trends continued into 2017, when the country recorded one of the highest homicide rates, 60 per 100,000, with 1,647 murders. This level of violence far exceeds the capacity of the normal policing activity in the country. And in public trust in the police and the government was low. And the simple dream of citizens sleeping with their doors open at night was a far from reaching an admirable aspiration only. When we came into office, many communities were under the grip of gangs defined by violence, intimidation, and gunmanship. But then, under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Holness, we made a decision. We made a sober decision. We decided that Jamaica would not surrender to criminality. We made it clear that gangs would not operate freely or comfortable in this country, and that crime would carry consequences, swift and certain consequences. Despite certain skepticism and constant pressure, we remained focused, locked in, and stayed the course. We're committed to doing the difficult work required to restore order and rebuild society. This is the foundation of our legacy, Madam Speaker, and today we are building on that foundation. Madam Speaker, since 2016, we have made sustained and unprecedented investment in national security.
Yes.
On the average, we have committed approximately 10 billion annually in capital expenditure into capital. Despite the various economic shocks that we have had to confront over the period, we have remained disciplined and unwavering in that policy direction. This level of investment is far greater than any previous period in our history and reflects a deliberate strategy to build a modern, capable, and responsive security architecture. The security capital expenditure can be seen on display, and it is obvious what happened after 2016 and the remarkable investment to make Jamaica safe and to protect and serve our people. We'll comment on some of the major economic implications for that at a later stage. In fact, my colleague to my right and my friend in St. James will in fact make him a stronger comment, as it has aided his own progress, who has worked hard to bring the resin industry up to a certain level. I want to commend the administrative leadership of the Central Ministry. We refer to the Permanent Secretary team, led by the Permanent Secretary and the Chief Technical Directors, for the work behind the scenes to help facilitate this level of capital expenditure. Madam Speaker, when an institution moves on average expenditure under $3 billion per year to where it now spends up to $20 billion in 1 year, it reflects a dramatic movement. The ministry is able to spend that quantum of funds over the year with a high degree of integrity and efficiency. Projects are not stalled in procurement process. Projects satisfying the public investment appraisal requirements and not in receipt of any adverse trace from the Auditor General reflects hardworking, competent professionals in the public service who deserve to serve. In fact, Madam Speaker, I said to them recently, that's like moving a staff from a sidewalk shop into a large supermarket, and they're able to sustain the management and success of the business in an outstanding manner. This level of capital expenditure is what will help to ensure the sustainability of the results, but not only the level of capital expenditure, but the competence and ability of the staff, the central staff, the corporate services, to continue working effectively within the legal framework we operate. We have significantly strengthened the capacity of the Jamaica Constable Force in particular. We strengthened capacity, presence, and leadership. Since 2018, and we paused to indicate, this is critical because the police force is the front line of law enforcement. They are the primary law enforcement agency. We have many agencies I've referred to before, and each play a significant and important role in restoring public order, bringing peace to our communities, but the JCF is on the front line. They lead it. Since 2018, we have recruited and trained approximately 7,100 police officers. There was many talk of all kinds of policing deployment, proximity policing, more police here, more there, but there was no attempt to expand the force to a level where they could manage the tasks they were given. Yes. We recruited, we trained, and we introduced new training programs. This expansion has allowed for a more effective deployment, establishment of specialized units like the operational supporting teams, the special operation teams, increased presence in communities, and the advancement of proximity policing. Many will tell you sometimes you're driving to and from Montego Bay, you pass police every parish you go. Every major intersection, a reflection of presence. We have strengthened leadership and supervision in the force, and this is crucial, Madam Speaker, to ensure sustainability and quality. Since 2024, some 2,250 police officers, including 250 gazetted ranks, have been promoted to fill critical vacancies, support our policy to expand, professionalize the officer corps of the police force. In addition, we have invested heavily in mobility and operational readiness. We have procured just over 2,000 motor vehicles, to ensure and maintain a steady fleet, cost of $7.5 billion. This increased capacity, Madam Speaker, has enabled the JCF to significantly strengthen its various policing activities. But in particular, the use of what they call national coordinating roadblocks. In all divisions, the police have provided operational tools that disrupted criminality heavily. It has also contributed significantly to reduce road fatalities. It is hard work. The national roadblocks, I was told, and we'll come back to it, in this quarter, they were doing over 4,000 national coordinated roadblocks across the island. What the process is that every division, all 19 across the parish, are required to do 2 major roadblocks at the critical points of intersection. This is what reduces criminal movement, the movement of firearms across the island. When they start out, they used to pick up the firearms like they were falling off a tree. They interrupt the critical cars moving, and criminals don't move out when they know police on the road. It has, in fact, helped to impact all the work. There's some more work to be done. We are working collaboratively with the Ministry of Transport to identify that work. But the increased mobility of the police has been a major contribution to the effect of the police. The establishment of the operational support teams and the area fugitive apprehension teams. Of course, Madam Speaker, by virtue of accident sometime and other reasons, sometimes the small station may run out of a vehicle. And the Commission made it very clear, if you crash a vehicle, you're not going to get one until the next set come. You're not going to pull it. But more critically, the deployment of the policemen in the areas division has changed dramatically, and it is not absolutely critical to necessarily have always a vehicle at a particular station. Because the operational supporting teams and the area fugitive apprehension teams are deployed from divisional headquarters to go to critical areas in the parish. They know where the intelligence tells them where the gangs are, where the troublemakers are, who is likely to cause conflict. The community security safety branch know when their call is starting, and the policemen are deployed in those areas to supplement normal. So, in fact, the priority has to be to get the operational supporting teams in the critical areas, and that's why we continue to have a decline in homicides. But yes, we are seeking to maintain our fleet level where all the states will have at least one vehicle, but we have to ensure those special teams are operational, what we call the kinetic teams. They must be in the critical areas. So when problems start in land settlement, MP from Manchester, we put people there, and we're going to cut the rate of homicide. Madam Speaker, we are making targeted strategic investment to build a modern police force driven by technology, powered by data, and enhanced, anchored in accountability. Among all agencies of government, the JCF has demonstrated some of the most significant progress in modernizing its processes and operations. We continue to digitize across the. They have a whole team digitizing records from 2013, and by the end of this financial year, all our police stations will have their front desk with computers, and the big books will begin to grow. It's an enormous task, but they're proceeding. We're making targeted strategic investment we are transforming traffic enforcement through digitized technology. Well, now when the policeman stops it, it's not a matter of talking to him, pull him ticket. We'll provide an additional 1,500 e-ticketing devices here. Bring a total to 10,000 devices that will mean total replacement of hard copy activities and place the JCF closer to full transition to digital ticketing. Indeed, the police was maybe the most advanced agency in terms of digitization of its policies to make it more efficient, and we are beginning to see the results. We had to, of course, introduce a ticket information management system, because one that was acquired some time ago was not only dated but impossible to use. And in the process, we have contributed significant activity on the road, because the national coordinated roadblocks have seen this quarter one of the lowest in terms of fatal accidents on the road. We are strengthening the Jamaica program, national CCTV surveillance network. We are expanding the cameras. We're looking at a target of 3,000 cameras over time. But we are not quite there. We'll be acquiring additional one this year, and we will complete that process by the 28th budget year. We have acquired body worn cameras, and they have been deployed, but deployment is decided by the Commissioner of Police. Body worn cameras are part of modern police equipment, and the only person who have the authority and the professional capacity to instruct where they should go is the Commissioner of Police as his team. No civil society organization can tell us where to put it. That was what was damaging the police for years. Everybody like cowboy policing and downmanship, and then tell police how to go police. Cameras are good for transparency and accountability, and we will continue to acquire. We have another 1,000 order, and the police will provide the equipment. Well, let me make it plain. The police force, my job is oversight and providing equipment. Society holds them accountable. They do policing, and we have an excellent commissioner of police. We know modern policing, Madam Speaker, is grounded in science. We have made the investment to upgrade and expand our forensic capabilities. It includes the opening of one of the finest forensic pathology autopsy suite down in Kingston, near the KPH. You know, when we did it, Madam Speaker, somebody said it looks so good. They want to go there, so I remind them, you go there when you're dead. He said his friend tell him, well, go to KPH and we'll send you over there fast. But he was concerned. That forensic pathology autopsy suite is excellent. We expect our first corpse in June, and from then on we expect to reduce the weeks and months, wait for autopsy to less than to more than like 10 days. We have also, and Speaker, the modern police must also be supported by modern infrastructure. The ministry has spearheaded the project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct initiative, systematically upgrading and renovating all police facilities nationwide following rigorous engineering aftermath. We're not quite complete, and of course, Melissa hit a few, which we are working on now. Notwithstanding the impact of Hurricane Melissa, which hit the economy very hard, there is now about $30 billion worth of investment on the ground. Not pipe dream, not promises, on the ground, which we can talk about. These include the Westmoreland Police Division. Yes. And I didn't invite them to give you any problem, Mr. President. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's some heat there. I don't know if it's your colleague in Eastern or so, kind of remind you that he will need some attention. The St. Catherine North Division, both models of what should be divisional headquarters, and of course, replacement in Bull Bay, K Valley, Mucker, Granville, and Amity Hall in St. James are already in the pre-construction phase, and we are working on DIAS. Investment in security for the safety of public Jamaicans. And we'll come to more. There's a major special operation unit to be built in Montego Bay. It will be a multi-billion-dollar project because we have had to be spending money renting spaces for police officers costing millions of dollars, and we'll put that the other major public sector investment. It will run in the region anywhere from $8 to $12 billion. The save average maybe $10 billion. It will be a major, one of the biggest government investment in the public sector infrastructure for a long time. But the move there, Madam Speaker, was not just a matter of high crime rate in Montego Bay, or the fact that we say a number of us have interjected in the government. Myself, my colleague, as senior minister, and the Prime Minister, loves Montego Bay. We love him there too. But the economic reality is that a lot of activities have shifted west. In fact, we're discussing the expansion of the UWI campus, and it's pointed out that the population from St. Anne to St. Elizabeth exceeds the same campus, the population of that serves the new campus in the Eastern Caribbean. In addition to that, we have seen major investment moving out. In fact, while we have had disinvestment in the Southeast region, a fact we are also seeing to reverse, but a fact of the economy, Twickenham Park, Belleau, etc., where a lot of industry went, and government is the driving force. We're now doing the development of the port facilities that will replace that. But in the West, the airport alone has seen investment of nearly 400 million US. The perimeter road is there, the hotel rooms, the outsourcing activities, I was all seen economic activity moving to the northwest and the population increasing accordingly. Nigville now is a major township. Montego Bay is a hub. It's a multi-port, which is the Montego Bay port facility have expanded and improved. And we go all the way to Ultra, the highway system has improved. And it's now maybe one of Jamaica's most creative and active economic zone. It therefore required expanded public services. Many of the entrepreneurial spirit of Jamaica I've seen been coming out of the Freeport. They sometimes are criticized for the style, but it's like CPZ has become a large conglomerate and other activities out there. So it is necessary that we put investment in public service. So the police station expanded to ensure not only to stop the crime rate rise, but to provide the service required, transportation, our hospital, and in the midst of taking some bit of time, but we need all the expanded services in that area, and that's what the investment is about. The police stations have been referred to before, new ones in Mount Salem, Montego Hills, coming Bluefield, Silo, and Newmarket, and Betheltown. We have also ensured, Madam Speaker, that we have strengthened the legislative framework, which is critical to ensure professionalism and sustainability of our successes. The Firearms Prohibition, Restriction, and Regulation Act 2022 was a decisive shift in our response to illegal firearms. This legislation was carefully examined and advanced through the Joint Select Committee, and I commend my colleagues on the other side who were involved in this. And this act was a national policy. I see my friend from Southeast Clarendon. No, he played an active role in the committee. Like, Southwest. You're coming here to the West. Yes. Good broad deliberation and national consensus. Tough penalties were introduced, including mandatory sentencing. We have had a few minor things to amend, and that process is proceeding, and we should have that in this financial year. We have complemented this with strong anti-gang medals, organized, professional, targeted policing, data-driven, and calculated to find the gangs where they are, disrupt them, and intelligence has been extended, ensuring enforcement is not only robust, but strategic and targeted, hence a reduction of criminal violence. This has been further strengthened by the allowing MOCA an increased range of activities which they can investigate. And we have seen that coming, I said, not only the public sector, but their work in the recent corruption activity at the bank is signature of the kind of work that MOCA can do to ensure there's integrity. The legislative strengthening has been reinforced by decisive operational tools, those through short-term targeted interventions such as the state of public emergency. This disrupts organized criminal activity and restores order in command. There's a graph up there, I don't know if they can find it, which shows clearly each time we had a state of public emergency, there was a dramatic fall. But to ensure sustainability, we had to build out the police force, and it will show at another stage in the discussion. Some say it will not work, but it is clear, the evidence is clear. They worked and worked well. The zones of special operations were further introduced to deal with a medium-term attack on criminal activity, but also to restore hope and public order in some very vulnerable communities. This year, we'll complete amendments to the Aliens Act, the Immigration Restriction Counterfeits Act, and the Firearms Prohibition, Restriction, and Regulation Act. The first, Madam Speaker, I've been there a long time. It sounds a little bit, the Aliens Act, Immigration Restriction Counterfeits Act, has been around for a long time. In fact, we inherited it at a very advanced stage. We have made one major amendment. We'll be bringing it to the House during this first quarter. It is critical in maintaining the good border management and also in dealing with entire visitor operating airports and a number of other activities critical to security. And we are going to have ensured that it has been going through the system. I think it spent about 5 years in there. Then the member from South End nods, and then we came on and it has been rolling to the system. But we'll get it done in this Q1. My staff is focused and we'll have it there. Critical piece of legislation. There will be a national policy against trafficking in person to be tabled as a green paper. We'll table in national visa policy as a white paper within the next 2 months. Table the crime prevention through social transformation policy as a green paper will also be tabled. We'll use the new corrections policy developed by the ministry to guide amendments to the Corrections Act, which will be tabled again in this first quarter. These legislative priorities are designed to reinforce the strong institutional and operational framework we have built, ensuring that the gains we have made are secured in law and sustained over the long term. There are other legislative to be done. I will not mention here because the process, Madam Speaker, as you are aware, and from where you sit, Jamaica seems to examine the entire process of legislating, and if not the process, to look at how we treat the corporate centers in the various ministries, as we have shifted much activity from the ministry to agencies, and have done very little to strengthen the corporate services in the ministry, so that the policies can be done efficiently and well in a short time and get the required instruction to our legislator, to our lawyers who write legislation. They too need strengthening, so that we do not have to take multi-years to do major legislation. We're not only investing in crime fighting, Madam Speaker, measures, we're investing in people, and we're transforming our correctional system at an unprecedented pace. I want to emphasize, Madam Speaker, we sometimes attack there, and we still have old prisoners. One of them is over 200 years old. But we are doing work, and I want to again extend comment to my Minister of State. We're ensuring that the wards of state and inmates are given real opportunities for growth, development, and transformation. Wards in our juvenile facilities are now being assessed, guided, and trained for the future. They are learning trades. That's a graduation ceremony for some of our juveniles. They are learning trades, building confidence, and even stepping into the field like coding and robotics as we give them the appropriate emotional and psychosocial support. This is transformation in action, Madam Speaker, turning correction into opportunity. Turning correction into opportunity and rehabilitation is a real second chance. Through the Retransform program, we are strengthening rehabilitation and reintegration through strategic partnership. At the South Camp, we have just built a modern sewing facility for the ladies, so they can live there capable to find active economic activity. This builds on earlier efforts at the Metcalf Street Center, where we have a full recording studio. Music is still a part of the genetics of Jamaicans. Madam Speaker, we are advancing bold child rehabilitation and social reintegration strategies. This is grounded in a more humane and forward-looking vision of justice by the administration. It recognizes that children in conflict with the law requires guidance, not punishment. These efforts, all listed above, are already showing measurable results, Madam Speaker. In 2025, the recidivism rate declined from 41% to 27% for the first time in our history, reflecting meaningful progress in offender reintegration. For the first time in recent history, we are recording this kind of significant reduction. The department has an agricultural program, Madam Speaker, and I want to pause a very strong agricultural program. We are training not only for the reintegration, but we have made the prison system self-sustaining eggs, poultry, and pork production, building discipline, skills, and a culture of productivity and good reintegration. Right? Now, my Minister of Agriculture is going to give some more support, and we will, we're going to supply the canteen downstairs here. That's more fee. Good product. Madam Speaker, we have significantly strengthened our border, not only by intercepting threats, but by modernizing how we manage the movement of people at the goods, at the airports. It's a much better service today than we inherited, but in fact, we have a way to go. It's a costly process. We expect it will take at least 24 to 36 months to do it properly. We'll be able to work with the Minister of Tourism introducing that electronic transfer approval, get the PNR system working effectively, but we are much better today than we were before. And everyone will tell you, walking through the airport now is a much different experience it was back then. But at the same time, their work in security has been critical. Through enhanced intelligence, advanced cargo scanning, and risk-based targeting system, our border security agencies continue to disrupt transnational transnational criminal networks and prevent entry of illegal firearms and narcotics to our country. At same time, we are improving the experience for the legitimate travelers through the peak passport immigration and citizen agency. We have advanced the ease and efficiency of processing at airports. In close partnership with the customs agency, we are strengthening coordination across our ports of entry, ensuring that our borders are both secure and critical. And jointly, they have just completed a new C5 form that I know the parents are very pleased about. Customs agents and PCAN should be introduced, I think, in June. In June, it should be fully introduced. Yeah. We are going to introduce new technologies that will further modernize the airport systems and our port facilities and our points of entry. Madam Speaker, building on the social prevention pillar of Plan Secure Jamaica, the City Security Plan remains our primary vehicle for delivering the peace dividend to our communities. Support by the European Union, UK's Violence Prevention Partnership Programme, and our own consolidated fund, the CSP has delivered targeted investment in governance, infrastructure, and social intervention. And Madam Speaker, I just pause again to recognize the several members of the diplomatic corps present in the audience from our partners who have been supportive in our efforts throughout, and we welcome them to this event, and we look forward to continuing work with them. We have strengthened oversight through the City Security Business Group, initiated by the Prime Minister. The establishment of safe space in vulnerable communities, continue the upgrading of police stations, skills training and certification by at-risk youth like heavy vehicle driving and other construction work, which continue to work closely with the Heart and Ministry of Education to see how we can scale these operations and really provide a genuine alternative for our young people. The construction of 2 domestic violence shelters is complete, and the third is about to be completed. The establishment of a child and adolescent guidance and therapeutic wellness center in Montego Bay, and plans to expand it to at least 2 more areas quickly. The rollout of the interministerial school support strategy in 37 schools, that too will scale up. We have successfully closed phase 1, but building on the lessons of phase 1, we are strengthening what works and expanding our reach. The CSP will now extend beyond the ZOZOs to vulnerable communities under the Community Renewal Program. These results reflect strong institutions, improved coordination, and growing confidence from our development partners. Unlike interventions like SOE, which delivers strong immediate reductions, the CSP drives sustained community transformation, beginning with the individual. As a result of the investment, Madam Speaker, we have seen direct result in terms of the violence. So I have to go back there. Just to remind the public and my listeners across and those on the internet and the youth, Jamaica recorded 674 murders in 2025, marking the first time in over 32 years that murders have fallen below 700. 32 years. We're now on the threshold of achieving another in the historic low. Yes. The first quarter of the calendar year has already recorded a significant 29% reduction, decline in murders compared to the corresponding period last year. In fact, there's a bar chart in the chart that shows you how that decline is in fact reflecting successful systemic changes, not an incident. As one man was quick to write when we got the 674, that they need to see a trend. Well, you can look and see there's a trend coming from Q4 of 2024. Strong trend. Yes, and the quarters are showing it. The fact is that the last 2 quarters have been the lowest on record since police began collecting data. So we see we are now at the past tipping point and going down rapidly down. There'll be no turning back. Q4 2025 was 153. Q1 2026 is 134. And we'll continue. And no, Madam Speaker, though, I think, well, the member from North St. Andrew is here. But for the entire quarter of Q1 2026, there was not one single murder in Northern St. Andrew. It has some tough, hardcore areas.
I don't know why opposition looks so disappointed.
Tough era. I used to, every month, Madam Speaker.
That is not clear.
I used to every month, Madam Speaker. Look at my report. Brook Valley, Stony Hill, Park Lane, 100 Lane, Aki Walk, Gully Bank. Them things that come again. Nothing happening. Zero. In that order, we give God thanks for our successes, but it was hard work, good policy to start with, good planning, hard work and investment in our security forces that did this. Well, let me go a little further, Madam Speaker. It was suggested that since 2017, we have saved 3,000 lives by the work of this government. This represents an average of 374 Jamaicans who are still alive today to look to our future. Shooting and other violent crimes all decline. We express gratitude not only to our security forces, but to our international partners. You see the graph, and again, I'm not following as well, but a steep decline since 2022 in particular. Without the investments and the action and planning of our government, Jamaica would have continued a trajectory that would have made us one of the most unsafe places in the world. Today, people are beginning to have confidence in the street again. There, I pause again. There have been an incident that gives concern. Entertainment is an area where I have constant discussion. And there have been no contention, really. But we have had this one. My colleagues to my right, both of them, my constituency, in other words, Flanker sees itself as the entertainment center of Montego Bay. At time when I was in Flanker, you had Wednesday, Wednesday, Dizzy Thursday, Wet Sunday, and Friday and Saturday, every day of the week, a party going. And in the Prime Minister's got the hip strip and Olympic Way. They're partying all the time. But we have seen some elegant trend, and we are going to work to prevent. We're not going to allow it, criminals to disrupt our entertainment. We have got the tipping point by sustained investment in the police, technology, human capital, and the JSAFE and the wider ministry. But we are going to, the police will be meeting and instructing, especially in large events, the proper operation must be put in place to protect the event. We're not stopping them, but it is established once says the FLA has the armored vehicle, will come. It's must be part of the cost for those big events. The police will be there to ask, because we are working jointly with the citizens and the police and the other agencies to ensure there's peace and protect our people. In the smaller ones, it is sometimes tricky. But it is the policy of the police not to stop the round robins and the wakes, etc. But they must also understand that part of this, large part of the success of the police force is sheer intelligence. And we know when they are about to damage somebody's party. So sometimes we have to stop them. We can't tell them, but it is a fact of life and you have to understand. There are many years having parties, but sometimes, you hear things happen. There will be, social media allows for quick transmission of data and pictures. And we have had one or two incidents which the police commissioner is concerned about. They said the police were abusing their authority. This commissioner and his team has introduced extensive training, not only for special operations team, but in how police manage interface with the public. But they're still concerned if there's one incident. We don't view any incident where the police seem to go off track a bit as acceptable, and the police commissioner has made his comments, written his instructions in his weekly to his police officers under the police publication on a weekly basis, and we know that he'll correct them. The police force we have today is not only better trained, better equipped, but it's a highly professional team that I have every confidence in and will continue to conduct. Madam Speaker, key drivers to progress have been the strengthening of intelligence policing, which I've seen recovery of massive amount of weapons. 1,026 weapons in 2025 alone, illegal firearms. 1,000 If they kill one, each is one. So the police have effectively found them, and in recent times, firearm recoveries have increased, violence declined. And average recovered, some statistics have lack relevance. In 2011, average we recovered about 44 firearms for every 100 murders. 44 for every 100 murders. A ratio of 4 to 10. In 2024, we recovered 73 firearms for every 100 murders. 7 out of 10. We finally gone and went to Emma. By 2025, we're recovering an average of 3 firearms for every 2 murders. In other words, we are finding some of the stockpiles in the armories because of better intelligence. There's a 50 to 1. No, we'll take
Mr. Based on the motion, you don't need to sit. You will hear the bell go off just to remind you of the extension of time. And so it helps you to manage the remainder of your presentation. Continue, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The ratio of arrest to murder has been from approximately 44 arrests per 100 murders in 2012 and an extraordinary 99 arrests for every 100 murders. This level of performance signals a major breakthrough driven by stronger intelligence, better coordination, and effective national response. A transformed Jamaica Constable Force working in collaboration with other entities, MOCA, JDF, and others in the security architecture. We're moving towards a one-to-one relationship. But the greatest deterrence to criminal activity is certitude of apprehension, prosecution. And my advice will say we have to incapacitate the criminal. If they fight, we knock them out too. Civil society, I just want to make a quick comment, Madam Speaker, and my 24 is good. Let me begin by affirming that Jamaica is a strong democratic country governed by the rule of law, and we have no problem with criticism of the police force or any element of the security forces. More critically, even internationally, we tend not to pay respect to our own achievements in certain areas. Jamaica is one of the oldest democracies in the world. We are among the top 10, right? Even our good friends, and many of our good friends haven't achieved that. What 82 years of electoral democracy. On time within the Constitution, we have had change of government, a majority of 1. We have countries, well, I don't mind, they're our friends, but France couldn't pass a budget last year. No? About 2 years they can't pass a budget. The US had the conflict of February 20, when they had a change of government. We have been able to have election when we occupied parliament completely on time and change government. The reflection of Jamaica's commitment to democracy, and I must respect it. We sometimes follow the legacy thought that, of course, because we are politicians, we are not capable of doing what should be done. And disrespect for democracy. It's one of the strongest and most resilient in the world. I put it here because we have in place institutional framework to oversee, monitor, and evaluate the conduct of our public servants and police force. At once, you have about 4 bodies overseeing the police, and yet when you have an incident here, we must call for independent review. Foolishness. INDECOM, the Office of the Defender, Public Defender, the Financial Investigation Division, the Integrity Commission, and I probe in the all bodies which oversee public servants and the police force. And they were designed to investigate issues and take them through the criminal justice system. It's important, Madam Speaker, because if we charge the police in particular in a high violence society, you know, President went to 60 per 100,000. You know. The United Nations defined what? 36 as civil strife. Went as far as 60. If we support cause that make the police look like they are acting criminally in high violence and in difficult areas, it undermines the authority of the police. More critically, and I feel strongly, I said, you know, I didn't lose my temper when I went and read the radio, and I wasn't fully out yet. It hurts me personally, very strongly about it. We must allow the criminal justice system and the oversight board to work. You put policemen at risk. You put 2 police officers in my constituency, retiring members of the force, were killed because it was said that police were killing people without cause. And these were retired, so they find the soft targets. Mr. Brown family understand. The man was about to retire. Mr. Lindsay was going to look for his friend in Glendevon, right? Who's a lady who was the mother of many of the strongmen. But it was said the week before they had killed somebody without cause and then murdered the man. He went to say goodbye because he was retiring and returned to St. Anne. A quiet old man driving, of course, on the whole corridor they used to have, so he couldn't drive too far, dropping a patrol and the man just walk and shoot him. But more critically, we have recruited 7,100 bright young Jamaicans.
Yes.
They come from the same challenged communities. Head boy from Titchfield, Garvey Masio, St. Catherine High. They have their other siblings in the same high school. They have their girlfriends and their sisters as teachers in school in those years in primary school. When you start make out that these young men are joining a force to shoot people innocently, then they get assaulted in the community. We cannot allow that to happen. And I will not accept it, condone it, or apologize for it. Civil society is that do so. INDECOM, Madam Speaker, was the Independent Commission of Investigation designed to prevent this kind of violent attack to hurt the police. There is no evidence to suggest that INDECOM is being impaired or that the police is doing anything illegal. They are in a high violence society. They are in combat recurrently. Combat. Where men are shooting on them. Sometimes some of these people calling on the police to always have cameras should go there and go to Twickenham Park and let the JD fire some rounds on them head, them hear what an F-16 buzzing on them head is like. Policemen know that. They face that. They can't be made into targets. INDECOM report published in 2024 shows, Madam Speaker, that there was 1,936 total shootings investigated between 2011 and 2023, over a 13-year period. There were 66 cases that went to prosecution. They are not complete, so we can't say how many were successful. But that still, if we take all of them, that 3.4% prosecution. That cannot be used to condemn the professional police officers. It's irresponsible, immoral, and wrong. In 2024, 11 were charged. Of that 11, 8 of them were off-duty police officers, civilians move about their business. You cannot use that kind of evidence and bring about assault on our young policemen families. It is, again, I say, it is dangerous, it is immoral, and it is wrong. And I make no apologies for that. Cities have increased, however, and not taking them too seriously because they have been seen significant improvement in citizens' participation in policing. For example, over the past decade, payouts to tipsters have increased significantly. But on the other hand, the number of people coming in for reward is much less percentage-wise. Every day the police give me a report, targeted raid, find firearm because they get information from the citizens. They are winning the trust and confidence of the people. Less than 6% of the tipsters, 10% collect reward. It's a reflection that Jamaicans are now gaining the confidence, they gain respect for police force. They are informed the police not as informers, but as responsible citizens, not for tips, but to ensure that we can continue to protect and serve our citizens. They are taking a stand for the well-being of their communities. This we must celebrate, Madam Speaker. Now I turn to the peace dividend briefly, and with my time. Ask, what is the peace dividend, Madam Speaker? Simply put, the peace dividend is a tangible social, economic, and developmental benefits delivered directly to communities that achieve and sustain measurable reduction in crime and violence. And I repeat that, Madam Speaker. The peace dividend that the Prime Minister have indicated we must seek to introduce across all ministries because it's designed is the tangible social, economic, and developmental benefits to the formerly challenged communities. They were directly delivered to those communities. So it is to give them safer streets, stronger families, more opportunities for their young people, and a better quality of life for all the citizens in those communities. It's when the old lady can now continue to go to a prayer meeting on Wednesday night and don't feel afraid to walk because she might be shot in gang war. When children can go to the school next door and not have to take a taxi and go to the community. Workers can take the work at night and come home from the free zone or Montego Free for the hotel up when they are released from work at 1 o'clock. And my constituent now do have to fret and tell me, boy, daughter get a job, but she can't go because she can't taxi come home and say, go speak with some man downtown who don't even know. Those days are done because of the work of the police. As a peace dividend. Some interesting facts. The final estimate that crime costs Jamaica between 4 and 6% of GDP. Public costs account for about 1.5 to 2.5%. Private costs about 1.5 to 2.16. And in addition, human capital losses amount for about 1.33% of GDP, reflecting reduced economic productivity, a big problem for society, due to homicides, non-lethal victimization, and incarceration. The academics outline that not only a human, the estimate that each life lost is not only a tragedy, but an economic loss, and they put that about 147,000 years. So if you consider lives saved between 2017 and 2025, economic benefit to Jamaica is between $360 and $700 billion US. According to this study, based on expenditure on the implementation of the state of public emergency alone, Jamaica realized a return of between $44 and $90 per head on the dollar invested. This is the power of peace, Madam Speaker. This is what our Prime Minister has spoken about in the country. Peace saves lives. Peace creates value, and peace must be reinvested in those vulnerable communities. Building a durable peace requires more than an individual program. So we'll be having extensive proximity program through the City Security Bureau across various ministries. We will provide opportunities for schools. We work with the schools, and we work with the Ministry of Education to ensure we can broaden and scale up much of the program we have done. Our case management program is an outstanding example of successful intervention. The police community security and safety branch is being expanded. We expect to be able to place resource persons in all the challenge schools. And I'm sure the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Education work to ensure those schools do not remain long in their state. They classify them as tier 3 and 4 schools where the productivity is absolute, well, I won't go say it's 0, but we end up not providing any quality education for some very hard-working, humble Jamaicans. That will change and must change under this administration. There are 59 such schools at the secondary level and 134 at the primary level. In fact, one primary school, we did a national survey, all the schools. And unfortunately, I found the most unsafe school, like a school in Westmoreland, based on the survey. And the safest school, incidentally, was in the hills of St. Elizabeth, on a consensus board. It was interesting, I thought, because in the school that was considered safe, they knew all of the political leadership. One was from both sides. And this have active PTA, active community activity. The other one, they didn't know anybody at all. So, you know, I urge the members here to provide leadership in the community and be involved in the guidance to the children in a responsible way. The police, in our movement to deliver the peace dividend, will be like the driver of the vehicle, working with case managers, social workers, school principals, and parents to ensure we can take the dividends to those communities, which are a challenge. And the police will not only be seen as special operations team in the blue uniform, which will continue to be there, because that gives them confidence that they are safe to work with the police or special operations team. Our intelligence teams are there to look for them and find them. We will not allow in a hiding place for any criminal activity. At the same time, the school police resource officer and the members of the community security safety branch know the personnel. They know the bad guys, they know the challenged families, and their job is to ensure we can get the social workers, the guidance counselors to meet those families, the single mother who is under pressure, the one with 4 or 5 kids, and get them into the social safety net. Jamaica does not have a wealthy, well-endowed safety, you might say, compared to developed countries. But we have several programs that can assist such people, and we are ensuring that they get to the right people and provide hope for those people in these areas. The work of the police officers is to build trust, deepen cooperation, and ensure that security is felt and not just enforced. Yes. Keeping the peace requires more than enforcement. It requires structure, standard, and consistency. We'll strengthen the public audits here, Madam Speaker, because we have built out a strong e-ticketing information management system. One was there before, called TTMS. Cost government a lot of money. It was never used. We have spent time and built out a proper system, and everybody who get a traffic ticket now know they are met by a police officer with a ruggedized handheld device. I give them a ticket, and you can pay it on the telephone and it go. It's going a long way in strengthening our ability to manage our public spaces. We're going to expand this. That's why we call the ticketing information management system. For example, it can be applied to noise abatement. So rather than have the police fight with a promoter over his equipment, which is today's world is primitive, plus expensive. They're using computers, not big boxes, again. So they can give them a ticket. And you can have a structured system. First, whether it's ticket for a party at home, ticket in a square, the amount varies with time, as well as if they do more than 2 or 3, it goes up and they can end up being a warrant for court. But we're going to introduce a technology-driven, modern, efficient system to reduce antagonism between the police and the citizen, even when they breach the law. So you take our vendors' basket, them goods, after corporate ministry and local government, we give them a ticket. And they know it's coming. We are providing training a modern police force that will be able to restore, not only reduce criminal violence, but indeed restore public order and bring hope and opportunity to our people across the country. That is the legacy of this government, and we make no point taking credit. The zones of special operation, thank you, will become zones of peace and opportunity as we expand our opportunity, because we're not leaving those communities. Even when we take down the checkpoints, we'll ensure that we continue to provide the services to those communities. These will represent a new phase as we move on to other areas, because we don't necessarily need the same level of intense security in the other areas that are vulnerable. So we'll have now phases where peace is not enforced but sustained. We're opting to replace fear. Enforcement policing now becomes community-based development policing. And where communities are rewarded for maintaining stability. We seek to build peaceful society, but return to a positive Jamaican cultural activity. Our Live Good program, we're going to the schools, in the communities, and across the country. As the grandmothers used to tell you, we have to live good with each other. Madam Speaker, there is no doubt that there's a breath of fresh air across Jamaica. You know, it's ironic, Madam Speaker. We used to be always a laughing stock by the Caribbean. But they tell you the last carnival, the Trinidad and found their way to Jamaica. You know why, Madam Speaker? Not because that's no wonderful carnival, but it's just safe to walk on the streets of Jamaica despite of a little hiccup at one party. More people are coming here. We are making our communities safe, and people are recognizing that. They've asked us for help across the Caribbean. I have 30 police officers in the Turks and Caicos, and they have in 1 year reduced homicides by nearly 40% there too. They're asking us to them in training. We have been invited to transfer zones to other areas in the Caribbean.
Security and become an export product.
For Jamaica, where we're earning what we have invested. Madam Speaker, it has been a pleasure to work with the team, with the leadership of this Prime Minister, and the men and women of the ministry, and in particular our police force under the leadership of Kevin Blake. But what we are going to ensure that our achievements not only will not be undermined, but will be sustainable by legislation and investment. Today we have, as I said, we are investing enough to ensure that, and the training program to guide and develop our young officers. Yes, we have transformed the police force. Yes. A friend of mine said, they look better, Dr. Chang. They operate better. They succeed in reducing. And one lady said to me, Dr. Chang, you know how long we see a police car parked for the bar? They're out working. We are seeing historically low levels of serious crime. We are removing illegal firearms from our streets. Our arresting rates are rising and more citizens are coming forward to support law enforcement. Yes, we are incapacitating the criminals. We've identified them, we find them, we arrest them, prosecute them. If they fight and we have to shoot, we will succeed. We stop them. But our work is not finished. We must sustain these gains. We must deepen the peace. And we must prepare the next generation to inherit a Jamaica where violence is not the answer, but opportunity is the norm. This is not only about enforcement, Madam Speaker, colleagues. It is about transformation. Yes. It is about building Jamaican families, yes, strengthening communities, and creating pathways for young people to succeed. We will continue this work with focus and determination. Jamaican people have entrusted us on this side with a mandate to lead, to protect, and to deliver and serve them. We will not be deterred or shifted in our objective. Under the leadership of this Honorable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, we will continue to move the country forward in peace, in good economics, and in prosperity. A Jamaica that is safer, a Jamaica that is stronger, yes, a Jamaica where peace endures, yes, a Jamaica where all Jamaicans and others will want to live, yes, work, raise their families, do business, and rely in peace, and live in time peace. May God bless Jamaica. Thank you, Madam Speaker. How about that, Chairman? Yes.